pouches, pouches, pouches. Come in all shapes and sizes, all colours, all types of materials. Hello and welcome back to Pack 48. My name is Phil. On today's episode, like I stated in one of the previous episodes, we're going to make a pouch for a multi-tool. You know, the amount of pouches out there is endless, but I like to make my own, as you very well know. I posted that in one of my videos, just mentioned it. And the one thing I always hate is you buy a pouch and either the items you want to put in it don't fit, or the pouch doesn't fit the items, or you find that the pouch is too big and you end up cramming more stuff into it. So I always make stuff for the stuff that I got. So if I got certain tools that I want to make a pouch for, I'll make the pouch to match the tools, not the other way around. So today we're going to make ourselves a nice little pouch. This is one I made about 28 years ago. Still going strong. It's a bit weather beaten now. It's been around a few places over the years, but I can still use it. Now, this was made in Cordura with a bit of Velcro and a popper, a bit of Cordura on the back for the belt loop, and a bit of nylon tape around the edge. Very simple, very basic. You can't get any more basic than that. And this is what we're going to make today. We're going to make a new one of these. Earlier on today, I made this one, which is not quite finished yet. I've got to put a popper on it. I don't know if you can see inside. What I've done inside, I've put 3 loops, separate little pockets, and a pocket towards the front. This is for a multi-tool, a fire starter, and a small micro tool like this one. And then you've got a little front pocket then, which you could probably fit a credit card in actually, if you want to carry a credit card or some money in there quite easily. It will have a popper, a heavy duty pot fastener on it later on when I get around to doing it, and you know, that'll go nicely on your belt. So this is what we're going to make, but a smaller one obviously, more like this one. So what do you need? So what do we need? What do I use? Well, I'm using black Cordura at the moment. This is 1000 Dyna Cordura. You can pick up Cordura at a place called Contact Left. Brilliant company. They do a lot of interesting kit. They do all the thread. The thread I'm using is a bonded 40, also black, also from Contact Left. I'm also using heavy duty poppers, which you can see here, and the tool obviously you require to put the popper on later on. Some edge tape to go around the edge later on, and a bit of Velcro wherever the Velcro's gone. There it is, and you had it somewhere. So there's your Velcro. Now I've laid it out in the simplest way possible. I've already cut it out of the material I had, because what I didn't want to do was waste time, you know, showing you how you cut it out, how you design it. This is probably the simplest way to do it. Yeah. There's not a lot really to do. I've done the markings up where things are going to be going, and this is all down to basic design. One of the things I learned many years ago is an old saying: prior planning and preparation prevents a piss poor performance. Now I've got my sketch pad here somewhere, and I usually just do a little quick sketch of what I'm looking for, or I'll have it in my head. I'll design it in my head, I'll break it down in my head, I'll know exactly roughly the size that I want, where things are going to go, and how to put it together. Now, one of the ways we can enlarge this pouch, and I'll show you a couple of other configurations that I've made. Again, this is a slightly larger one. You've probably seen this one in the previous video. This was for a face mask, gloves, and a few other items in here. Again, Cordura on the back, Velcro on the front. I haven't put a popper on there as yet. Now you can extend that even bigger if you want. This is made in green. Exactly the same method I used to make these pouches is this one, this big one. Exactly the same method. This has got a pocket on the inside, not the loops like you got on these to slot individual things in. This is just a big pouch with a flat pocket on the inside. Now the beautiful thing about this is it's got a nice fixed text buckle and a bit of Cordura, and on the reverse I put some web tape rather than more Cordura. Like I said, this simple design you can utilize on any size pouch. Very basic. Now one of the ways you can do the bigger pouches, like I said, because you're going deeper and wider, is when you're marking out your material, cut the corners out. You square them off, cut them out. And what you do then is you stitch those corners together. So they get stitched in a fold like that, and you stitch across several times. This creates your pocket, the outside pocket. Very simple method. You can't get much simpler than that, but we are going to get simpler. And we're not going to do this method, we're going to do the method I employed when I made this one. So I'm making an exact duplicate. Okay, so I've already stitched the back panel, or the back strip. This is going to become your belt loop, and all I'm going to do now is I'm going to stitch it on quickly, or as quick as I can, so you can see how easy it is to stitch this on. Now this is the outside back. There's an inside back, which is this one, which is the piece that I will stitch actually the loops on for the actual tools, which will come apparent a bit later. Okay, I've marked out 2 lines. These are stitch lines. What you basically do is turn this the other way. The second line, or the one closest to the bottom, you put your strip on, and then you stitch along the top line. And because I do a box cross, I box cross that in there. It'll become more apparent in a minute when you see. So, try and get it as central as we can. I like to do things a lot by eye. It don't always work out, and there's no guarantee that when you're making something, because I don't claim to be an expert by anyone's means. I just enjoy making stuff for my own benefit and for my friends' benefits if they wanted something. Quite simple. Like I said to you in a previous video, this is an old sewing machine. It does exactly one thing, stitch one way. So you will see me turning and twisting around on the machine quite a lot. I don't see the point of investing in a big industrial. I don't do anything like that, so warrant me buying a big industrial. So what I tend to do is I tend to do whatever I need to do on here. It does exactly everything I want it to do, the way I want it to do it. So quite simple, and I'm quite used to talking when I'm working, because I don't shut up until I start going. Right, snip off anyway, so you can do all the nitty gritty stuff a bit later. Okay, so that's stitched on now. Treble stitch, so I'll fold this over, but before I do I'll make another mark. There's my ruler, get my ruler. Now most belts, now I've had these pouches on webbing belts which are about a 40mm. The biggest belt I'll use now will probably be about a 38mm, which is probably on my Day-Sax. But we'll go to 2.5. I'll give us a good bit of play, and then we'll mark across, and then a ruler's width, and then make another little mark down the bottom so I know exactly where the bottom mark is. Yeah, so all we simply do now is fold this over, go to our first mark, make sure we've got plenty and it's not bunched up too tightly. Place your foot on, and away you go. And this is quite therapeutic on a sewing machine. I remember when my kids were very small, my daughter would sit on the settee and fall asleep listening to the sewing machine. Now I've had this sewing machine for about, she's 38, 35 years I've had this machine. It's stitched a lot of different things over the years, made a lot of different things. I don't want to get rid of it, I don't want to retire it and get something new, because new sewing machines I find are not as robust as the old ones. I think the hard hardest thing I've ever had to put in on this machine was sewing creases into trousers. And that was hard. You don't need no special skills to be able to do this. You know, I'm no expert. I don't claim to be. I don't claim to be anything. You know, just me. You know. Take my foot on it again. Just along the bottom. You come off it. Take it off. And then snip off any excess. That's the back done. Yeah, that's your belt loop done. Snip off any bits you don't need. Flip them over, do the same on the inside. You're not going to see the inside anyway, because once you put the inside piece on, you're not going to see that. That's all you need to do on that for the moment. Now, the inside, you'll notice I'm folding the opposite way. Instead of folding inwards, I'm folding outwards. And the reason I'm doing that is, you'll probably see the name on the multi-tool now. When you're putting this inside your pouch, like this, you put it inside your pouch, the lip or the fold you've created, if it's folded in the other way, can catch on some multi-tools. So be wary of that when you're making pouches, when you're designing them yourselves. You know, that when you're pulling it in and out, you don't want anything catching on the inside. Yeah. So fold the lip outwards rather than inwards. It looks neater inwards, or just as neat I should say. You know, and it fits nicely in there, nice and deep, nice simple pouch. Yeah. So let's crack on. Don't need that piece now. So I'm just going to make a fold on this one. Simple fold, nothing too wide, about the same width as the foot on the machine. And I'll go across very quickly, quickish, turn round and back. Now there'll be a lot of people out there that will say I'm wasting thread and I'm wasting time by double stitching and treble stitching. But when you consider I made this nearly 30 years ago and it's still holding together. The stitching hasn't gone anywhere. Yes, it's a bit battered and it's a bit frayed on the edges, but I have no qualms using this out in the field or out doing whatever it is I'm doing, whether it be walking up on the mountains, just down the woods, or just carrying a multi-tool into work, or whatever it is I'm doing. Yeah, sky's the limit really. You know, you can make them any colour you want. I am going to get around to making one in green, and one of these pouches in green as well. So whether I do another program on that, we'll have to wait and see. Right, that's the inside piece, that's the outside piece. Now what I'm going to do with this outside piece, measure it, it's 4 3/4. With the sizes, you don't really have to worry. What I tend to do is put my tools down in the way I want them in the pouch. Not too close, you want a little bit of a gap. And then basically measure that. Well, that comes to about 3 inches. So it's exactly what I've made the actual pouch, but I've allowed for a little bit, obviously, because they'll be a bit more closer together. So you're looking at 2.5 really, just over 2.5. But that extra ½ inches for the stitch on the side, so you know, gives me that bit of play. Okay, so this is the inside then. So how do we know where things are going to go? So like I said, it's simple. You just lay it on there. Yeah. Now I want to go close to the bottom. So what I tend to do is I use a white pencil or a yellow pencil, and I tend to put lots of marks on my stuff, but it's only pencil, it'll come off really easy. And I mark up roughly what I think is my stitch lines. Now these are fairly simple, you know, I mean, this is something I've learned over years and years of playing around on machines and making my own stuff. I know now that I can't go beyond that white line too much because that's where I'm going to be stitching from. So I'm only going to make this for 2 items, which is not going to be for the fire start. It's just going to be for my multi-tool and my micro tool. Yeah, so let's go back to this. That is 1.5, about 1.5. I'll come in just under the 1.5. That mark was a bit daft. Okay, just make a little line up the top then. You don't want to worry about marking your material neither. Like I said, this is just an ordinary white pencil. It's a Faber-Castell, so I mean it comes off fairly easy. You know, I mean I only wrote that on it earlier and it's coming off already. Yeah, bit of damp cloth and it'll come off easy. Okay then, so that's that done. So what's next best thing? Right, is to stitch on this roughly where I think I'm going to be going. So that's there. Stitch it down. Again, take it off. Now there'll be a lot of people out there whose wives are probably seamstresses, and there might be a couple of tailors watching this and saying, well, I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't have done that. Well, you're not making the pouch. I am. You can change whatever you want. You can change it to whatever design you want. You can stitch it any way you want. You know, whatever is your interpretation, really. No two interpretations are the same. No two pouches are the same, and that's what I always look at. You know, this is why I've had friends come up to me and say, "Can I make them a pouch?" Because they know if I make them something, it's going to be unique to them, not to someone else. So if they do get it robbed and they see it out, they'll know exactly. There'll be something different about that bag from someone else's, even though the two will look the same. That person who I give it to, I will tell them what is different from the last one I did. So they only know. And all the people I've ever made kit for, I've told them the same thing. You know, there are no two pieces alike. The stitching might be slightly different. You know. I might have done just, say, box stitch on the one bag or the one pouch rather than no, I didn't do a deliberate mistake. It was a mistake, my fault. Getting too far ahead of myself, and that's the problem sometimes. See, you tend to get into a rhythm of doing things, and it can blow back up in your face. Okay, right. I should have just stitched it once and just checked it, basically, but I stitched it twice. Okay, and that's nice and loose, not too tight. That'll tighten up a bit more when I do the side stitch a little bit more. Okay, and basically we're not far off the mark there, so I can snip a little bit off there, about 1/4 of an inch. Now I'm guesstimating on this. This is not marked out or ruled out. You know, like I said, you know, it doesn't matter if your cutting is not perfect. It doesn't matter if your marking out is not perfect. You know, what I would suggest if you're just gonna have a go at doing some of these yourself, or you know, things yourself, making your own stuff, is practice on something before you actually use the material they're gonna use to make whatever it is you're gonna use. If you use some scrap material and have a quick go at it, yeah, you might find, oh, I've done that really good. And take your time, don't rush, you know, and it'll all become good in the end. Hopefully, you'll get better at making things, not just bags, but making your own tools to go out with. You know, it's your own clothing. In some cases, I've made. I'll tell you a funny story now. Many years ago, I picked up some camo cordura, camo lycra, sorry, not Cordura. And for the life of me, I couldn't think of what I could use it for. Even though I bought it, and yeah, I think it was about 5 or 6 meters off a roll, because that was all that was left. Anyhow, I was down the gym one day training, and I was chatting to a friend of mine who just happened to be Mr. Wales, Mr. Universe, and I thought, I wonder if I could make him a vest or something. So I was saying to him, I was chatting to him, and I said, Grant, I said, you know, what's the chances of me making you a vest or something, you know, a pair of training bottoms? He went, yeah, if you can. So I came home, and this was pure guesstimation. I made a pair of long, you know, stretchy pants and a vest. Well, I took them down. Well, oh my god, you know, talk about tight. They were super tight, but it was so, you know, it was great that he put them on and tried, because there was muscle popping from everywhere, you know, because he was Mr. Universe at the end of the day. And you know, it was fantastic to see someone actually wearing something of mine, but he didn't keep it on very long because he had a lot of gleaming looks and admiring looks off people. So he took it off very quickly. But it was just one of those things you do, you know. It's just a funny little story. Okay, so now we got the 2 little slides in place, stitched down. Not too bad, not too tight, not too loose. I could tighten them up a little bit, which I'll do now. And the way to do that is quite simple. You can do an extra line on the centre. Turn round, come back up. Stop. Come over a little bit. And do the same again on the opposite side of the central line. Go down, stop, and then come back up. Stop at the top, turn around, quick stitch, done. Yeah, that's just taking up any slack in the bottom. Cut off any excess. Quick check. That's better, it's a little tighter. Yeah, it will loosen up a little bit, you know, because it is Cordura. Cordura has 10 times, apparently, 10 times the scuff resistance of leather. So, what I'm going to do now is basically stitch the bottom of the little one. I'm just going to put a little pleat in the bottom. I'm going to do a single one or a double one. This is where you need small hands, really, doing stuff like this, not big bloody shovels like what I got. But I've managed. Okay, so stitch the bottom. Well, like I said earlier, you know, people will say, oh, you just waste time, waste thread, waste material. No, I don't, because at the end of the day, you buy 1 metre of material, which I don't know what it is wide, but a metre is, what, 40 inches? You know, buy whatever it is on the roll. If the roll was 5 feet wide, or it's nearly as wide as this table, the roll I think it was, or the piece I had was nearly as wide as this table. So you imagine how many pouches you could probably physically get out of that. I mean, this material is not a lot when you consider, you know, that's not even 2 feet of material. You know, that's not even 2 feet of material when you look at it down there. It's not, you know, there's not a lot to it. So, you know, it's a good way of making your own stuff. You know, because I like I said, I find sometimes when you go into these shops and you pick up a pouch and it's, or you pick up a bag, it's not quite what you're looking for, and you're like, oh God, you know, why did I come in here? You know, because one of the shop assistants come over, you say, can I help you, sir? You know, and you go, no, it's alright, I'm just looking. In reality, you didn't have to buy a bag or a pouch, but because you've just had to look at the ones you got and they don't quite meet your requirements, you're left a bit stumped then, and you're like, well, what do I do now? You know. But yeah, I mean, I've had it many a times here when I've gone into shops, people come up and say, can I help you, sir? And you go, no, it's okay. And just looking around. Okay, give us a shout if you need any help. You know, sometimes I just go on into a shop just to have a look at the bags, or something in there, just to have a look to see if there's any ideas in it. You know, you can pick up ideas anywhere. You know. Ideas crop up, you know, in some of the most unusual places. You know, I've been watching films before and I haven't seen something in a film and gone, I wonder if I could use that. You know, I mean, I've been laughed at, I've been scorned at, I've been ridiculed, you know, I've been insulted, but you know what, I don't really care, because at the end of the day, as my friend used to say to me, my friend Andy used to say to me, these people couldn't lace your boots. And to be honest, he's right. These people couldn't lace my boots. And he wouldn't want to spend a day in my head, as my another so-called friend used to say to me. He wouldn't want to spend a day in my head. That way. Okay, so a quick check again now. I like to do little checks as I'm going along, just to make sure everything fits in nicely. That'll go in a little bit deeper, but it won't go any further than there, but it'll still come out easy, as you can see. Yeah. And I've left the bottom one of the big one open, because once you connect the front up, it'll take up a lot. You'll probably find, because I'm doing this by hand, snipping off little bits a lot, but the end product is what you want to look at. Okay, so now we get my piece of Velcro. I always go for the softer bit first because I like the softer bit. Okay. Right, again, I could do this the easy way, and I could, yeah, let's do it the easier way. Okay. Okay, the center, this is 5.5, so the center would be 2 3/4, which is there. 2 3/4, which is there. I'm sorry if I haven't put up the sizes. If any of you want the sizes, I'll put them in the next video, or I'll get my son later on. But the pouch, I mean, the strip is 3 inches wide, you know, and that is 3 inches by 11. Now I've slightly overcut, because sometimes when you put everything together and you put the flap over, it doesn't quite reach, and I've done that many a times, and I've kicked myself and I've gone, right, got to stop doing stuff like that, you know, because it just makes more work for yourself. But like I said, I'm not a professional, I don't claim to be, I'm just me. I just like making stuff for my own benefit. Yeah, so okay, make a fold again, push your foot underneath, or push it under the foot I should say, not pushing your foot underneath. Okay, take it across. Let's make sure this Velcro is squared off. There's nothing worse than having unequal sides. Yeah, that's about right. Okay. Okay. Okay, this time coming back, I'll stop. Yeah, check my Velcro's in the middle, which it is. Twist down the Velcro. And yet again, I'll do a box cross. There's something quite relaxing about making your own stuff. You know, I mean, I've worked in factories in the past, you know, where I watch people and they get really stressed out making stuff, but then they're being paid to do it. You know, there's something relaxing about making your own stuff. My daughter, who makes a lot of her own stuff now, you know, she even says to me she finds it so relaxing to design stuff herself and just get on with it. And let me just finish off by taking it across. There we go. Cut off the excess. I know I'm racing a little bit. My director, my producer and my camera guy keeps informing me, who happens to be my son, keeps informing me I'm taking far too long on some of these videos, so I need to speed up, he says. But you know, who wants to speed up? If you want to make something and you want to show people how to make something, you can't rush these things. You know, you've got to take a little bit of time, you know. Oakley dokley. Let's crack on. So now I'm going to stitch the side down. Stitch straight to the bottom, straight off. Now I could have this already pre-pleated. Now the reason I say pleated is this is going to be a pleated pouch, not one with the cutouts like this one. Like I said, this particular cutout you can make any size for any size pouch. You know, like I said, sky's the limit. You can do it any size you want, and that's what I've done with these, with this particular pouch and other pouches that I've made. Basically just enlarge the cutout, and then just made sure that the measurement between the two lines were equal to the corners, the width of the actual back and the inside, basically, so that when you stitch it on there, it goes on fairly neat and tidy. You know, and you're not, like I do on a lot of occasions, I end up, you know, fiddling around and have to take things apart, and you know, there's nothing worse. What have I done there? That's wrong. There we go. Mistake number one already. Almost. Mistake. That's the problem with College Era. If you're marking up with a big thick pencil, just be wary that when you're making something that your lines may not be quite exactly accurate. Like this one, if you see, it's lower on this side than it is on that side, so how do I get out of that? One or two ways. I can snip it like this. Yeah. Which now it's the same, which is the easiest way. Now comes the tricky bit. I'll lay it on here so you can see it. Fold the pouch down, and then, because I want to put two pleats in, where do I put the pleat? It's entirely up to you, really, at the end of the day. Yeah. I try not to get it too close to that corner. This is why I kept the inner pockets a little bit shy of the bottom. So when you fold in with this, Okay, there you go. So that's just a simple pleat pouch. There's nothing difficult about it. You know, if you're going to make one, just take your time, you know, play around with it until you got it right. I mean, as you can see, the lid's a bit long, but that's not, I'm not worried about that. I'll sort that out in a minute. Yeah, but at the moment all I want to do now is stitch the side of the pocket on to make sure it's on nice and strong. So start off with going the wrong way, and I'll come down, stop at the bottom. I mean, this machine, I mean, it may not be an industrial, but it certainly does everything I require of it. You know, I've made some monstrous things on this over the years. I remember a few years ago I made some, when camming up vehicles was all the rage, and he brought out this funny nylon material for us to put underneath cam nets. I made giant tabs for the vehicles, and this material came on rolls. It was like about 14 foot wide or 12 foot wide, and there was hundreds of feet up there, and I basically measured, took a piece, run it over the top of a vehicle, then done it the same again, and then made this big tab out of it, and I done it for all the vehicles in the squadron at the time, which is quite a feat on a little machine like this, because lucky we had a big hallway at the time. I know I'm over stitching, it's overkill. Look, a bit of a scratch going on there. Sometimes you haven't got the right stitch size as well. If you're using too thick or too many layers of cordura, it can chew it up. So if you're going to use cordura, have a little practice, see how many layers your machine will stitch quite comfortably. And the simplest thing to do is just cut a strip, fold it once, stitch it, fold it twice, stitch it, fold it again, keep folding it until your machine won't actually stitch it. There's a good way. Okay, let's get back to what we were doing. So, over the years I've made everything from, like I said, tabs. I made my, oh, there you go, see? And that's because I adjusted it. Just about down. And this is a problem you'll get sometimes, in that, you know, when you're trying to stitch too much or too quickly with too smaller stitch size, you can chew your thread up. And of course, careful, you know, careful winding of your bobbins is important as well. Excuse me while I have a drop of water. Okie dokie. I think that'll do for around here now. Right, nip off the corners. Makes it easier later on when you're turning and stuff on. Okay, so that's your basic pouch. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fill it with my two items that's going in there. As you can see, it's a little bit snugger now since I stitched the front on. Yeah, now I can stick all that in there if I want, or I can have it hanging out like I do tend to some of the time. That's the paracord, by the way, for you dirty-minded people out there. Okay, so that's in nice and snug, not going anywhere. Okay, so bring it over. I can take off. It's about there. Okay, that is 1 3/4 inches I can take off. Oh, that's a big overestimation, isn't it? Again, a bit of a wasted material. Now, let's take these two out. This is my tin. This is my 16-hour candle tin. Spare one. Oh, lovely smell. Which I use to round the edges off. And I take it up to the line, take it out to the outside, and just draw a half circle. I do the same on the other side. And there we go. Now what I do is I stitch around that, keep my little foot on the pencil line, come around, done. Now what that does is, again, you don't have to do it this way. You could do it right at the beginning, like I used to when I made a few of these together. I cut all the edges around right at the beginning. So I do once I marked out on my big sheet of material the pieces, I would then get my tin on my plate or whatever it is I was using to make the corners, and I do all of them on the big sheet, cut them out accordingly, so they were already pre-cut to where I wanted them to be. Very simple, very easy. Right, almost there. Tidy up that a little bit. Okay. Right. Like I said, you can put this anywhere. You can do these. You can make loads of these out of one big piece. There's no nothing holding you back, really. I mean, I just like to put things together so that it makes it easy for myself. So the only thing, like I said, holding you back is what you do with the material you've got. People keep asking me why I make stuff. Simple. I enjoy it. I like to. What did our ancestors do? They made their own stuff. They didn't go to a big company and say, "Oh, can I have X amount of this and X amount of that?" They made their own stuff. Why? Because what they wanted wasn't available most of the time, or they couldn't afford what it is they wanted. I'm not saying I can't afford new pouches, I can. It's just that I'd rather make my own. I know where they've come from, I know how they've been built, I know that the treble stitching underneath the edge strip is not going to come away, because I know it's bonded nylon thread, the same as what they use in a lot of cases. And if you can make something yourself, why not have a go? If it saves you a bit of money, or it gives you another skill in your skill set, then happy days. I'm all for it. I'm all for trying new skills, especially if they're ones I'm interested in. When I was in school, there was people, they used to say, "Oh, he's thick, he is, he's stupid, he is." you'll never amount to nothing, he will. You know, but everyone learns at a different rate. And you know, when you're picking up stuff like this and you're having a go yourself, you'll pick it up at your own pace. Don't listen to people when they say, oh, what do you want to go on a sewing machine for? You're a grown man. Well, so what? Don't you think most of the best tailors in the world are men? You know, most of the tailors a man would go to for a suit would be a man. Yes, I know a lot of suits are sent out and you buy off the peg now, but in the old days, most of the best tailors were men. Or most of the tailors were men, not the best tailors. Because some of the best tailors in the world are women. You know, but that being said, I digress. Let's crack on. Okay, so all we got to do now is edge him off. And what we use is a bit of nylon. This is quite thin, this stuff, which is great because it's a bit more flexible. And I just burn the end off. And it makes a nice little fold. And you basically, all you do is you fold it over the edge. I don't know how close you can see this. Start your machine off and pull your material a little tight. Make sure you're covering the stitching on the front, because it doesn't matter what you see on the back, because no one's going to see the back. And then come down to the stitch line that you can see and stop. Right? Put up your foot, and then you bring your material around and pull it tight again. Now you'll see there's a bit of a kick up there, so push it down with your scissors. Right? Put your foot down. Yeah, and you can stitch onto it then. Doesn't matter if you don't get it right the first time. It's about persevering, having a go. You know, can you make something yourself? Yeah, you can. Like I said, you don't need any special skills. You don't need you don't need fancy equipment. So like I said, this machine's 30 something years old, and it was probably old when I got it. Now, I like to keep my pouches simple, like I said in the previous video. KISS, keep it simple, stupid. Yeah. Now, the year before last, we went up to Derby to the Bushcraft fair up there, and amazing, absolutely amazing weekend we had. You know, met some very interesting people up there. If any of you recognise me, hello. You know, if any of you see me at any of these functions, please, by all means, come over and chat. You know, have a cup of coffee with us, have a beer if there's beer close by. You know, there's nothing better than chatting with like-minded people. You know, that like bushcraft, survival, prepping. You know, because it's, as a saying I heard many years ago, it said dying art. But it's not dying, it's what you want. You know, you learn to survive. You know. Keep pulling. The only part, if this was a bit more flexible, right there. Okay, then I come off. I snip a bit of this off because it was a bit more. Okay, take it out. So I'm going to inspect it and make sure I haven't slipped anywhere and gone off. Not too bad, not too bad, not my worst, not my best, but not my worst by anyone's means. So all I'll do now is I'll go around the stitch again. I'll snip off the bottom bit, melt that, and we're almost done. Wow. Okay, let's go reverse. Well, yeah. Yeah, I must admit, I love the bushcraft show up at Derby. Yeah, like I said, we met some fantastic people up there. Some people recognise me from other things I do, which was nice. You know, so yeah, by all means, you know, feel free to come over and chat. If you see us out and about, if you see us in town centre, or, you know, feel free to come over and chat. You know, want to ask a question or you want to pick my brains on something, more than happy. More than happy. Right, get me burner. Like I said, with these pouches, you don't have to be overly fussy, as I never am. You know, I mean, if it does what it says on the tin, as the old saying used to go, say, then it does what it says on the tin. Okay, and there we go. Let's put some stuff in. So we're in. Now I tend to have my tools hanging out sometimes. I haven't got that in my height. And that's the way I've carried it for years. Well, there you go. Not quite finished yet. I've got to put a pop rivet on it, a pop closure on it. So it'll be like one of these, like this one. Very simple, very easy to put them on. Yeah. Like I said, you can make these pouches for anything. Here's a different one again. This one's for a sheath. This is for a cold steel Master Hunter. Lovely little knife. I've had that for many years, many years. Love cold steel. Like I said in the previous video, I would like to see them come into the 21st century now, and let's see a good quality. Well, not that they're not good quality, but you know, something a bit different in the SRK range. This pouch is very simple. It's about as simple as the one I just made. Exactly the same way. Inside, you've got two little slots. One is for a sharpening stone, one is for a fire steel. Yeah, again, some Velcro heavy duty popper. Yeah, closes nice and snug and tight. Slides over the sheath. Yeah, now what you can do with this, I'll show you better on this one. Because I've taken the actual belt loop off this one, what I will do is, where the slots are for the kit to put stuff on, I will drill through, burn the ends, and then either bolt it on or maybe rivet it on. I haven't decided yet. As you can see with this one's got a fire steel in it, yeah, and a sharpener. The only problem is I pushed the pouch up too high up on the frame. Anyway, okay, you've seen these in the previous videos. Yeah, it's a diamond sharpener, two-sided, rough, coarse on one side, fine on the other, and that fits nicely in there. But there is room for other bits of kit as well. I can get a compass in it if I wanted. I can get other bits and bobs in there if I wanted. Like I said, it's got a little pocket towards the front, so if I wanted to put a credit card or some money in there, I could do that as well. Yeah, nice heavy duty popper to close it. So, in conclusion then, pouches are pretty easy to make if you keep them simple. If you do more complicated pouches and your machine can't cope with it, then you know you're snookered. You're stuck with a pouch unfinished, and you may have to take it to someone that's got an industrial or a heavy machine that can do it for you. You know, like I said, sky's the limit. If you've got a bit of material, and like I said, materials you can pick up from the company I'm using. I don't get nothing from them. I'm not sponsored by anyone. I don't get any freebies off anyone. No one sends me anything. I do this purely as a hobby, purely as a way to recover from an illness. Last year I was very seriously ill, so I'm doing this. Oops, sorry, I kicked the camera. Doing this to basically help myself recover and move forward. You know, and that's what it's about, keep moving forward. Walt Disney said it, and I say it to most people, keep moving forward. You know, so pouches are pouches, you know, the sky's the limit, like I said, I keep saying. But, you know, you build pouches for bits of kit, you know, nice bits of kit, you know, like your multi-tools and your pocket knives and everything else. Remember, and this is the one bit of advice I will always give, the best bit of kit that you can carry anywhere is the knowledge in your head. Yeah, keep the knowledge in the head. Yeah, and the kit will aid you, and you know, you'll have a fun time doing whatever it is you're doing. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day, is enjoying what you're doing, having a bit of fun, you know, while you're doing it. If you're not having fun doing it, then, you know, what's the point of doing it? So I hope you like this video. It's a bit rushed, I know. You know, the next time we'll probably make a bigger pouch, or we'll do something else. I just wanted to give you a quick insight into these pouches. I mean, they're so easy to make. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, you see how quick I made that, you know. And like I said, they do last a long time. If you use Cordura, like I said, Contact Left, brilliant company. They do everything you could possibly want to make all the kit that you want. Yeah, and they're pretty reasonable priced. They sell small amounts of everything, so if you only wanted a meter of Cordura and a roll of thread and maybe a bit of web tape, they can accommodate any size order. And they do give a bit of discount as well, 10% I believe, so they told me recently. But like I said, I'm not gaining nothing from it. If you want to say that you've seen, or I advised people to get it from them via the video, I'm happy with that. This is pack 48. My name is Phil. If you like what you see, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you next time on pack 48.